Hey, how you doing? So my name is Riley, and this is my first YouTube video ever. So please be nice. I like comics, I like film, I like TV, and I like film comics and film TV. So this first YouTube video will be my gateway into those interests. And today, Commandos just wrapped up its first season, with the season 2 getting renewed. Now, I'm a huge fan of Gunn. I've been watching his work since I was 8 years old with that first Guardians film. That first movie made my life and part of my personality, and the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy is like my favorite films of all time. The Suicide Squad is fantastic. I love Peacemaker, and James Gunn's Superman is the movie I'm most looking forward to this year. So what do I think of Commandos? And I can safely say, with full biasy and my love and passion for this director, it's so not bad. I have to be honest, this is actually one of my least favorite James Gunn projects. It's not bad at any means. I like the show enough. But it's just something that we've seen from James Gunn before, but with a Halloween decoration over it. I feel like I'm shitting on Gunn a little bit when I say that, but that couldn't be far from the truth. He's made some of my favorite things ever. And Gunn is known for tackling like a ton of characters and putting them into one singular story. But if the stories that you made mainly consist of a group of misfits forced to work together, then become a family, that's going to get tiring for some people. This show isn't perfect by any means, but it's damn well enjoyable. I'm having a hell of a time with it. So what I want to do is go through each episode in the entire series that we have so far, episodes 1 through 7, the meaning behind all the messages and themes, and how this connects to a greater DCU. Alright, enough stalling. Let's talk about... You like my backdrop? It's all that I had. So, spoiler warning, but you kind of caught that, right? We open on Belle Reve, which is the prison from the Suicide Squad. We get a news report about the Sons of the Themyscira. Now, apparently, these guys were thinking in the comics, being the abandoned sons of the Amazons, essentially being slaves to them. But in Creature Commandos, they're anti-woke Redditors. I find that really funny. It's a change that makes sense, and I honestly prefer. And the Wonder Woman Circe essentially being the firecracker of the Sons is a nice touch also. Some decent world building for the DCU.
What a bunch of clowns.
He's just like my dad, for real. He talks to Amanda Waller, Viola Davis reprising that role, about his current objective. Circe is going to kill Princess Ilana in Pokelestan. Obviously, Amanda Waller doesn't want that, but there's one problem.
I thought Congress put a stop to all Task Force X activities since your daughter outed you.
That was a callback to her out of bio. Amanda Waller's daughter outed her mom on Project Butterfly and Project Starfish from the Suicide Squad to the media at the end of Peacemaker. There are a lot of callbacks to those events in this introduction of the show, as those projects are now canon, as well as Creature Commandos being an extension of those projects. We're then introduced to our squad. The Bride, played by Indira Varma, Dr. Phosphorus, played by Alan Tudyk, a veteran at DC, the Weasel, returned from the Suicide Squad, and J.I. Robot, both played by Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, and Nia Mazursky, played by Zoe Chow. I have a qualm. While yes, most of these characters aren't human, technically, Dr. Phosphorus, the Bride, and Nina, as we'll figure out later on, aren't exactly monsters either. I mean, hell, Dr. Phosphorus is just a normal dude that got hit with the science experiment, and the Bride is just a reanimated corpse, so technically she's still human, even though I don't consider her to be one. Despite that fact, this is a very dangerous and illegal loophole that Waller has made here, right? This is Amanda Waller we're talking about. What am I even saying? After the intro where James Gunn himself appears in, this isn't some ego boost made by Gunn or anything. It's not like James Gunn went up to the animators like, put me in the fucking intro now! That was something the animators added as a little side bit. I just want to point that out, since people tend to reach on the internet. People are connecting what James Gunn did with Creature Commandos with what Grant Morrison did in Animal Man. And back in the 80s, Grant Morrison put themselves and their run at Animal Man in like a meta, fourth wall breaking way, as like a psychological statement or something. I never read the book, so I have no idea the actual context of that scene. But I find it funny that people would just like put 2 and 2 together because they're like similar a little bit, but not really. Literally the definition of reaching. The Commandos reach Pokelestan with Gogo Badero's My Gypsy autopilot playing in the background. A lot of his songs are in the show. That's because the band had like major influence on the series, with many of the songs based on European folk music and dark Caribbean. And Gogo Badero essentially being a musical mood board for the show. I mentioned that because I'm going to be saying that band's name a lot in this video. Literally half their songs are in the soundtrack. The Commandos reach the castle to meet Princess Ilana, and you have, well, a welcoming. What's up? If you could add that. Let me try that again. Wow!
Can you shut the fuck up?
I'm not going to talk about much of what happens next because a lot of it's just character introductions and stuff we honestly don't need to see. The bride sneaks out of the castle in the middle of the night and Nina follows suit. A woman from across the street sees the bride and calls him a mysterious figure. Ending episode 1. A lot of these episodes are pretty short, so I'm working with what I can work with here. We open in 1831, being surrounded by mangled corpses and body parts stuck in ice, as we meet Victor and Eric Frankenstein. This version of Frankenstein, voiced by David Harbour, is a very interesting mix of Frankenstein from the comics and Frankenstein from the original story from Mary Shelley. Is a very interesting mix of Frankenstein from the comics and Frankenstein from the original story from Mary Shelley's novel. Conversation between him and Victor is very much a part of the time they are in. Frankenstein especially speaking in the Lovecraftian and Shakespearean way, speaking about yearning for a wife. You can very much tell that Eric is having a very one-sided argument about his need. We can see that very much later on in this episode, but Barry wasn't Hold on. Hold the frick on, chat! Hold on! I can't speak! I can't fucking speak! Anyway, moving on. Next question. Speaking about yearning for a wife, you can very much tell that Eric is having a one-sided argument about his need. We can very much see that later on in the episode. But Eric wasn't conditioned to know how to love or express that love properly. And Victor very much having to calm his temper tantrum. Now, from this point on, I should probably give a trigger warning, as this episode does have elements of essay and grooming, and if you're sensitive to those topics, I will click off the video. You have been warned. We then flash forward to the bride being brought to life, while Eric, hopelessly in love, holding a bouquet of flowers.
I picked her these flowers.
Victor is clearly highly aware of what he's talking about. So aware that he teaches how to speak and say words like apple and hat. I will bring this up again later. We cut back to the castle. We see Rick fight with Burns from his fight with Dr. Phosphorus in episode 1. Also in episode 1, Princess Alana was straight up thirsty for Rick Flag. I mean, who could blame him? Look at him. And in this episode, she tries hitting on him while tending to his wounds. And Flag fumbled by starting doom scrolling like, bro, what? You're gonna miss out on that? On this? And the way Flag folded so hard, oh my god. I can't show this part, but they bang!
I mean, you've seen the princess. I don't know how he could hold out for more than 30 seconds to you.
Bro, Dr. Phosphorus just reached bro status right there. We then flash back to a heated argument between the bride and Frankenstein. It is very clear that Eric does not understand boundaries and is incredibly insecure. I have had many friends that have been in this situation like this with their significant other, and that's what makes the bride interesting to me. She came from a toxic environment, being surrounded by toxic people. And as we will see later, the other man isn't exactly a good person either. The necklace the bride was looking for, when suddenly they get attacked by Circe. We get back to the Commandos. Flag is just informed about Nina and the bride being missing. Back in Frankenstein's castle, the Sons of the Themyscira surround the castle, and Circe attacks the bride. A big fight sequence breaks out as Start Wearing Purple by Coco Badero begins to play. I can't play this song because of copyright, but if you've seen the scene, and if you're stupid, you would think that the song doesn't fit with what's going on. One, I think the song fits perfectly fine with what's happening in the scene. And two, I believe there's an actual meaning behind it. The song itself is about getting into a heated argument with your partner, with the singer of the song, Eugene Hutz, writing the song because he saw his crazy neighbor always walking out wearing purple. So when he got into an argument with his girlfriend at the time, and she would just start screaming out of control, he always told her that you might as well start wearing purple, making this sort of like the ultimate toxic relationship song. And this aligns with the bride. As what we have seen from Frankenstein and how he acts, we see that he should be the one that should start wearing purple also. With that being said, here's that trigger warning that I mentioned earlier. So if you need to click off, please click off. There's no easy segue to get into this, but Victor and the bride get intimate with each other. There are so many things wrong with this scene. One, that's necrophilia. He's literally fucking a dead body. Two, technically incest and pedophilia, because the bride at this point has like the mentality of a 5-year-old, and Victor essentially had to raise her like a daughter. And Victor has a wife and kids, so he clearly knows what he's doing. I'll get back to him in a bit. The Sons surround Nina and shoot her glass helmet, limiting her oxygen. And seriously just beats the bride. Fuck. and seriously just beats the bride into a bloody mess, headbutting her off the castle. As we see her just sitting in her own blood, we get one last flashback to her past, where Frankenstein murders Victor out of pure pity. While this is a very tragic loss for the bride, losing her father figure, Victor was not a good man. Neither is Frankenstein, but that's the point. Neither of them are good men. Frankenstein doesn't understand social norms because his creator never conditioned him to do so, treating him as more of an overgrown baby than a living human. A failed experiment. As stated before, Victor knows exactly what he was doing. And the fucked up thing is, the bride mostly didn't know that that wasn't okay. Again, she has the mentality of a child. Victor had what was coming to him, but now the worst monster is still breathing. Acting like an incel by all accounts of the word. Acting like Victor was the one preventing him and his love from being together, but in actuality, he does not know love. It doesn't matter how many times you say I love you, he doesn't know it. Because Eric doesn't have genuine love. It's more of a need for him, for the sake of having a significant other, to feel human. That is what makes the bride interesting to me, because she was the product of one toxic man and a victim of another. The bride attacks Eric, having like a totally tonal shift, but a really cool montage of Eric stalking the bride for centuries, with American Wedding by Coco Badero playing. The band even gets a cameo. There's Eugene, right there. The episode ends with the bride defeated, and both of them gain the back of a gun to the face. The Sons of the Obscura attack the castle. Wow, this armor really ain't shit if regular bullets just gonna go through them. Suddenly, the Commandos join the fight, and we get some really cool shots of Dr. Phosphorus. Now, I want to have a side tangent for a second. The animation in this show is pretty great for the most part. All the characters are designed magnificently in their own way, but I really like Dr. Phosphorus' design. I actually love the way that he's drawn the show. The bold black skeleton contrasting with the light green, and with that Kirby-like bubbling at the top of his head, it makes for a really appealing character design. We flash back to G.I. Robot being stolen in a pawn shop, now seen as a military collector's piece. Now being bought by a man voiced by Michael Rooker, a longtime collaborator with Gunn. The man brings G.I. home and activates him. G.I. starts to warm up to this new stranger, seeing his entire military collection and even watching old war films with him. They both go out to join some friends at a special event that believes in a better country. Keep that in mind. They make it to the event and are about to sit down, and Jerry starts seeing some questionable things from these men.
Welcome all to this meeting of the Hub City National Socialist Club.
Oh my god. Hub City, that's where the question's from. Nah, but Jay being involved in a socialist group, that's crazy. A lot of people are scratching their heads when it comes to this scene, asking themselves, why did this man recruit the Nazi-killing robot into the Nazi group? What is he, stupid? How many times can I say Nazi without this video getting flagged? You can very much blame that on ignorance, but this is a very clear commentary on indoctrination, how people get recruited into Nazi groups. You think it would be like super easy to like not join a Nazi group, but it's more easier said than done. This man shows G.I. Robot kindness and welcomes him, not showing him any signs of his political affiliation. He rescued G.I. from a collector's shop and gave him clothes, and gives G.I. a life where he doesn't have to kill Nazis, and is very careful specifically not to say the word Nazi. Instead, saying things like believing in a better country. That's the genius of groups who are able to indoctrinate even the strongest minds. With this group specifically not believing in enduring Nazis from World War II, but believing they can do better than the ones from the war. Which is why this man showed robots so much kindness. Because he believes that he can be a weapon for the cause that they are a part of. But now G.I. has to kill a man that showed him that kindness.
Oh boy. Nazis.
That delivery from Sean Gunn. It's the heartbreak of him finally making a friend after decades, only for him to be a part of a socialist group that he's programmed to kill. After that reveal, we get my favorite scene in the show. The song Coin Operated Boy by the Dresden Dolls plays at the battlefield between the Sons and Ilana's men. Now, I actually found out about this recently. So the band themselves, the Dresden Dolls, a band that existed in the 2000s, are obviously named after the dolls that are made in Dresden, Germany. You know, those weird little glass statues that your grandma would have, right? But in the rise of World War II, the U.S. and the Royal Air Force bombed the fuck out of Dresden, Germany. Because that's where the most Nazis were in like the rise of World War II. Like, straight up carpet bombed it. Like, look, all the Nazis that were in Dresden were burnt alive. So I find it fitting with the band of that name and with that history is a line here with J Robot. Because we're seeing our coin-operated boy murking some fucking Nazis.
Get ready to die, Nazis!
And long lasting. Who could ever
Mwah, 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 chef's kiss. This is beautiful. This is James Gunn at his best. Not only is a robot killing fucking Nazis, it's the pure joy we see from G.I.'s face as he murders these Nazis. Also has some tragedy behind it, because this is the most joy he's felt ever since he was with his friends in Easy Company. And the lyrics of the song depict G.I. Robot saying goodbye to Easy Company. A goodbye for the last time to his friends as he finally sees salvation. What the fuck? He's dead? But in all seriousness, this actually falls in line with G.I.'s arc. He died doing what he loved, and now he can finally see his friends again. Circe attacks Alana, but realizes she's about to kill her. The Weasel attacks Circe out of the window. Waller walks in and she's given a vision of the future. And this sequence is intense. We see Princess Alana leading armies to destroy the world, even getting Gorilla Grodd to execute civilians. We see even more DC characters, but fucking murdered. We see Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Starfire, Judo Master, Vigilante, Peacemaker, Supergirl, Robin. I believe that's Booster Gold. Mr. Terrific. I think Wally West was supposed to be in the back somewhere. We were supposed to get Swamp Thing in this sequence, but he got cut. And we end with a Death of Superman reference. Great way to introduce your heroes, by the way. This freaks out Waller, seeming like it would actually happen, so she calls up a professor with the knowledge of that mascara and tells Flag and Waller that she can not imagine futures, and that the vision should be nothing but genuine. So Waller tells Flag to gather the Commandos and fly back to Pukulistan to kill the princess. Flag, obviously biased, walks out not wanting to do the task. He tries to tell Alana's troops that her life is in danger, but they don't understand him, so Rick Flag drives to his house. Frankenstein is there also. The fight stops when Flag puts his gun in his eye. Frankenstein tells Flag that she'll never love him. Catching that, he's talking about the bride.
Who else would I be talking about, you Dilfy piece of shit?
They agree over some tea to help each other out. Flag gets to the bride, and Frankenstein can help him stop the Commandos from killing the princess. We see the Commandos fly back to Pukulistan as we see Weasel sleeping, leading us to another flashback. This gets dark, like really quick. You see the kids playing with Weasel, they play fetch with him, and Weasel slides on the ground, opening the door. A man from the distance sees Weasel, thinking he's harming the children. Right as the kids run into the school, the man runs and calls the police. Back in the school, the kids play with Weasel in the basement. One of the kids, not knowing better, starts playing with matches as one of the kids throws an alcohol bottle, accidentally starting a fire. The man shows up with a gun, assuming Weasel has done the worst. Weasel has done nothing wrong, but the man fires his gun at him, hitting the gas tank and blowing up the entire school. Weasel survives the explosion, but looks all around to see all the kids dead, except for the little blonde girl. Weasel goes to save her, but the police, thinking that he killed the kids, starts firing bullets at them. I'm very glad this show is animated because I have no idea if I could handle this in live action. Like, holy crap. Yes, the Weasel has the most tragic story out of all the Commandos we have seen so far. But this definitely says something more. The Weasel is literally just a dog. A dog that just want to play with some kids, mind you. A dog that just want to play with some kids, mind you. A scary looking dog also, but he obviously has no intention of harming them. If I saw this walking around, I would be absolutely horrified. But this story highlights that even well-meaning people that get involved in a situation like this typically ends with more harm than being done. That man had every right being afraid of what the Weasel could potentially do. But his first instinct was grabbing a gun, not assessing what the intentions. What? But his first instinct is grabbing a gun and not assessing what the Weasel's intentions are, and being the one that cost the lives of all those kids. The cops didn't do any better either. I'm not saying this is an allegory on police brutality and threats on minorities. You can interpret it that way. I'm not gonna get into it. I see it this way. I see someone doing nothing wrong, having no ill intentions, having the purest soul, being assumed that they're set to do the worst by ignorant minds because of what they have done in their past, or for the fact that they know nothing about you, but somehow justifying their act of righteousness. Doing more harm than good, ruining their lives in the process. Since every episode is focused on a character, We talked about the Bride, G.I. Robot, Weasel, Eric Frankenstein, and now we're on Dr. Phosphorus' episode. My second favorite character of the whole show. We open on honestly the lamest version of Gotham I've ever seen. Yes, Gotham. Dr. Phosphorus is the Batman villain. First appearing in Detective Comics issue 469, Rupert Thorne, a known gangster in Batman mythology, has ties to his origin as he helped him build a nuclear plant in Gotham City in the comics. He also appears in this episode. Dr. Phosphorus' real name is Alex Sartorius, and we see him jump off the back of a moving van. Flash forward to the modern day as we see Phosphorus hiding from the castle troops. We see the rest of Commandos trying to hide, as the whole Pocostalian army is looking for them. Nina runs to the Bride and they crash into a whorehouse. They both hide and the girls mislead the guards. Yeah, just so you know, show girls don't give a shit about you. They just do it for the money. I've been to Vegas, I know. We cut to Rick Flag Sr. in the ER. One of the mechs describe a monster that's tall, green, and humanoid. And Kamala says that's Frankenstein, and Waller says he will ruin the operation. Frankenstein hijacks a plane back to Pokoliastan. This guy is so brutal, I cannot wait to see him in live action. Back to Phosphorus, we see him running away from the troops, finally finding a hiding place in a random house. Phosphorus looks at pictures of a family, flashing back to a time where he had a family of his own. Alex gets into a heated discussion with his wife about getting funding through Rupert Thorne for research on a nuclear fusion treatment that destroys cancer. And then we see something horrifying. The bodies of Alex's wife and son, blood on the floor, murdered by Rupert Thorne, forcing his fingerprints on the scene and making him touch his dead family. This is so fucked. Cut back to present day, we see a little girl waking up in front of Phosphorus, hungry. Back with the Bride and Nina at the whorehouse, again, crazy fucking sentence. They still hide away from Alana's troops. Alright. No more distractions! I just had a Red Bull, I'm fucking cracked out. Keep down the video, please. Oh my god. Just me doing this shit, please. Just at least keep that part. Episode 5 opens with the professor from episode 4 teaching a college course about the mascara.
What about the lesbians?
What?
Oh my god.
That doesn't seem very professional.
Even Frankenstein sees that's unprofessional. What's wrong with you, bro? Flag definitely sees something off. So the plan is to find out what McPherson said about Circe's vision was true or not. As a trade-off, Frankenstein getting to see the Bride.
We find out the truth of this professor. We stop them, and you get to see your bride. A hero.
Bro is encouraging sexual harassment. So they go to McPherson's house to investigate. After we get a flashback to the flashback in episode 2, where Frankenstein kills Victor. He gets pushed in the fire by the Bride and makes it out of the castle and falls in the water. The next morning, an old black woman and her dog find Eric's body in the river and bring him back to her house. Damn, that dog is strong, carrying like 100 pounds of meat. After she heals Eric's wounds, not even a minute, and he says this shit.
This world holds nothing of worth besides beauty. If I were blind, I would kill myself.
Like, dude, she just shaved. Like, bro, I just saved your life. Who says that? The old blind woman shows him that there's beauty without sight, having him close his eyes and imagine his bride. You can probably guess so far that he's learned nothing from this. Back to present day, Eric and Flag find McPherson's dead body, making who we saw in the beginning of the episode as a fake. Flag thinks it's the savage got the princess killed, so he calls along to warn her. The McPherson copy shows up, so Flag and Eric hide. They see that the McPherson copy is actually the Batman villain Clayface. What is that flash? What the hell? I'm scared. It's that light. That makes sense. Okay. They see that the McPherson copy is actually the Batman villain Clayface, played also here by Alan Tudyk. The Commandos arrive in Pokoliastan and head back to the castle to kill Princess Alana. Alexei gets a call being informed by the Commandos' intentions and takes an alternative route. Back to Flag and Eric, right as they make their escape, Clayface finds them. While that's happening, Ilana's men ambush the Commandos. Clayface fights Eric and Flag, making me question if Flag is a super soldier or not, because no way he's taking this. Nah, he's gotta be dead. The Commandos make their escape going their separate ways as Eric electrocutes himself in Clayface and defeats him. Flag is left beaten and on the ground.
Did the Bride ever mention me?
Red Bull! We get another flashback with Eric and the old woman. Eric leaves to go find his bride, leaving the old woman in a heartbreak because she knows the bride does not love him. Eric, not wanting to distress her, eases her pain in his own backwards way by killing her with an iron pot. That's the name of the episode. Eric leaves her body behind, walking up to the sunset as I wouldn't want to live in a world without grudges by World/Infernal Friendship Society, ending in an episode. That's a long-ass name, oh my god. Now, prior to writing about this episode, I had a conversation with my friend Chip, who is the editor of this video and also got me this microphone. We talked about how Eric Frankenstein could possibly have a redemption arc into season 2, or if he even should have in the first place. And he wanted to hear my general thoughts about what I think of him. And with that, I have to say, I don't like him. He's a good character, probably like the best written character in the show. He kind of reminds me of a Spawn villain, just like everything wrong with the person, just like disguised as a monster. But it's clear that he's not a good person. What I said in episode 2 still applies here. With all intents and purposes, he's a stalker. Literally leaving the woman that gave him a home to pursue a woman that he's too dense to recognize doesn't share the same feelings. He had centuries to figure his shit out, but instead is so focused on pursuing a love that's not there. Would there be room for him to grow? He already had those chances. He's still just as needy and as insecure as we saw him previously. He's an apathetic creature that doesn't see progression. But could he possibly be redeemed? Not likely. Knowing who writes the show, he will most likely be a recurring antagonist, potentially making things worse for the Commandos. Or it could be wrong. I have no idea. It's not really the time to assume where this character can go. James Gunn's an unpredictable guy. We cut back to Dr. Phosphorus. Watching the little girl eat cereal. In a flashback, Thorne and his goons go through Alex's research so they can send it overseas to Balia. Alex gave them the wrong research, so they found information from Alex's wife's file. They frame Alex, make it look like he killed his family and killed himself, so they throw him in a nuclear diffuser, activating the machine, atomizing his skin off. The little girl calls Phosphorus Beatle Skeleton, which translates to friend skeleton or friendly skeleton, also being the title for this episode. Alex now has become the glowing green skeleton we have met previously, losing the man he once was and all of his sanity. Wonderlust King by Golga Badero begins to play, as Dr. Phosphorus finds Rupert Thorne and murders his entire family. He then goes after his associates, taking his territory, his money, all of his empire. Out of the sequences that the Commandos have, Phosphorus has my favorite. Because this is what the downfall of a decent man will look like in my eyes. A beautiful sequence of the contrast between what we see he has now and what he can never have again. Because any good man filled with love would go down this path if pushed to their limits.
All it takes is one bad day.
Oh my god, Green Arrow! Back to present day. The little girl's parents ran outside to see her playing with Phosphorus. They point in the direction of the castle, and Phosphorus makes his way towards it. Weasel wakes up with the wolves. He has visions of the little girl he couldn't save. Princess Alana reminds him of that girl, so he heads back to the castle also. We then get this build-up moment for the show's finale with the song Hey Clown by Firewater begins to play. Frankenstein arrives in Pokelistan, Ilana's army prepares for the Commandos, and the Commandos walk up the hill and finally meet up with each other. As a team, they head towards the castle to kill the princess, doing the slow motion walk, which I'm starting to realize might be a James Gunn staple. Now, before I talk about episode 7, let me ask you one question.
Are you ready for the finale?
Good, because it's kind of underwhelming. When I was writing this part of this episode, I kind of meant that as sort of a negative way. But after writing it and like psychoanalyzing it a little bit more, I'm starting to have a little appreciation for it a little bit more. You'll see why. The episode opens with a woman giving birth to Nina, who was born with her lungs outside her body, which is a real thing that can happen. The doctor tells Edward Mazursky, Nina's father, that he is the world's most foreign-bound scientist, so he can most likely find a way to keep his daughter alive. Back at the Commandos, they raid the castle and check the security.
The hell is that? 2 days ago.
Yeah, what the hell is that? I can't see shit. Frankenstein then shows up and the bride doesn't even give him a chance to speak, like shooting him out of the window.
Paramour of yours?
Oh, can it, Ghost Rider?
How the fuck do you know who Ghost Rider is? Another flashback to when Nina's a baby with a breathing apparatus around her body. Lily, Nina's mom, is upset to see her daughter this way, crying and leaving the room. She obviously doesn't want a daughter to live a life where a new machine has to be built for her to survive. Even considering taking her own daughter off for the life support. Jesus, woman! The fuck's wrong with you? I kind of wish Lily, in this sense, was more written as a depressed mom than an avoidant one. But there has to be some conflict over Nina, and this is Nina's story, not Lily's, so I'm not too upset about it. But I definitely don't think this woman is a good person or should be a mother in the first place if she's actively considering like taking her own daughter's life out of the sake of stress. With the mom out of the picture, Edward takes Nina to the park for an operation where she doesn't have to wear a machine anymore. Look, I know you love your daughter and everything, want her to socialize, but why are you like forcing her to go to the park with like 10 pounds of metal on her body? She is sweating, dude. Like, what are you doing? During her operation, thanks to the DNA that was put in her body, she turns into a fish person, only be able to breathe in water, which is very much along the lines of the comics, where she was turned into a fish person because of a lung disease by Myron Mazursky, not Edward Mazursky. Cut to Princess Alana going out for a swim. The Commandos arrive where she is swimming at. The Commandos arrive where she is swimming, and the Weasel gets cold feet when he sees Alana. In a flashback, we see little Nina getting enrolled in school so she can socialize, but obviously gets bullied based on her looks. As she gets older, the bullying just gets worse and worse, and she can't take it anymore. She leaves a note for her father, saying that she doesn't live in a world of unhumans, and she wants to be free of the burden to her father. She disappears into the water, matching with Alana swimming over the song I Am All I Got by the Dead Brothers. Back to the Commandos, the bride tells Nina that she needs to be the one that kills Alana, going to the water and stabbing her. Nina, however, never killed anyone, so she says she can't do it. The bride gives her a knife, tells her that she's the biggest monster out of all of them, motivating her to go in the water. One more flashback shows Nina being discovered by Star City, Nina being captured and taken in, and Nina's father coming in, pushing through the crowd. Telling her that she was never a burden and was the greatest thing, and gets cut off and gets shot by the police. Wow, James Gunn has like a real grudge with the cops, huh? Yeah, too bad, so sad. Nina's dad dies anyway. Cuts a flag in the hospital. Flag says McPherson wasn't McPherson before passing out. Waller and Akamos go to McPherson's house to find Clayface remains, as well as McPherson's dead body. Waller, realizing the mistake she made, tries to call off the Commandos. We see Nina in the water, floating underneath Alana, ready to stab her. Right as she's about to do so, Rizzo runs out and warns Alana. She looks under to see Nina. She then catches the blade and takes her into the water. Weasel bites Foster's arm, alerting the guards. Back to Nina in the water. Yeah, Nina dies. Back in the castle, the remaining commandos stand around, Weasel being congratulated by the guards. The bride walks off and comes across Alana. She follows her into her office. She says she understands what the commandos were simply following orders and doesn't hold grudges. The bride doesn't buy that, saying that she believes what Cersei said to be true. In a Knives Out-like reveal, more on that movie in a second, the bride puts together that Alana seduced Flag again on her side. Alana wanted Cersei killed, but Flag refused to do so. She sends one of her knights to spy on the commandos, hiring Clayface to make a cover-up about what Cersei said. And it turns out, Cersei was right all along! Crazy! It's like we already didn't know that! The bride's gonna kill her, not because she'll start World War III, she's going to kill her because she killed Nina. Now, when I watched their dynamic for the first time, I thought it was literally just the Nebula and Mantis dynamic from the Guardians films. A scary mean lady clashing with a small innocent personality. But after rewatching the series for this video and hearing that line from the bride again, I actually liked what they had on screen. They had a solid friendship, but now the bride can never call Nina a friend because of resentment towards her. And also, like, another sad thing is that, like, Amanda most likely put Nina on the mission for no reason. Like, she didn't do anything on this whole series and just got killed for, like, no reason. Alana pulls out her pistol right as the bride takes a strike first. Okay, this part was genuinely awesome, I ain't gonna lie to you. The commandos quickly get out of the castle as the bride sheds a tear before walking into the sunset. Back at Belle Reve, Waller assigns the bride with the new team of commandos, now becoming their leader. New team consists of Dr. Phosphorus, Nosferatu, who we saw in episode 4, Hollis or Callus, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, he is a mummy in the DC universe. Boy J Robot back with some repairs looking like a goddamn Hulkbuster. And even King Shark returned from the Suicide Squad. And that's the end of Creature Commandos. Overall, I enjoy this first season. Again, it's not my favorite of Gunn's work, but there were still some elements I truly loved. All the characters were great and interesting. I really had fun breaking down and analyzing what makes them good characters. I even pair all these characters to people in my own personal life. Like, I can associate this character with that friend or that family member, and I can have an analysis that comes from a deeper level. But the story itself isn't always there. Now, James Gunn likes to genre bend with his superhero films, essentially having a superhero equivalent to another movie. Like with Guardians of the Galaxy, at its core, it's a space opera, your Star Wars, your 2001s, you name it. And the Suicide Squad is your war action movie, like your Dirty Dozens, your Great Escapes, and like so many more with that movie. Now, I could be reaching and sound totally crazy, but I think Creature Commandos is trying to be like Knives Out, but for DC and with monsters. That sounds cool as hell, right? Again, I might sound crazy, but after saying that, I'm starting to see a lot of similarities between Creature Commandos and that movie. But aside from the tonal scenes and getting to know our characters inside a castle slash house in a aristocracy, how the fuck you say that word?
Aristocracy.
Yeah, that's where the similarities end. The actual mystery itself is kind of underdeveloped. It goes from, oh no, don't kill the princess. Oh, we gotta kill the princess. Oh no, it's a set by Clayface. Oh no, she's not evil. Oh no, she is evil. No, wait, she's actually evil the whole time. Like, what am I supposed to feel from that, right? And I'm sure it's really apparent, especially when I'm sure most of us never even trusted her since episode 1. I don't want to come off as negative because this is one of James Gunn's favorite things that he's ever written, like ever. Even his brother Sean agrees with that. And I get it, it's artistry biased. You made something that you created. I would be as passionate if anything I would make, but someone else could like not feel the same way. I can get where James Gunn is coming from. Again, the characters are great. I expect nothing less from James Gunn. The soundtrack also slaps. Again, I wouldn't put it behind the man. My favorite tracks are Malavita, Coin Operated Boy, and Hey Cloud. And it has some pretty good world building for the DCU. But this show isn't perfect. It's something we've seen from Gunn before, along with other things holding it back. But I still see the passion. I love James Gunn not because of his superhero movies, not because of his great soundtracks, but how he writes his stories coming from a real personal place. And we can see that with those two other qualities. And his ability to grow and evolve his style of storytelling, which is the kind of thing I want to do with my own stories. And that's why I'm looking forward to Superman. Not only because I just got in the character, but to change the formula of what we have seen from Gunn, but also return a home for DC. And Creature Commandos might be an iffy start to this whole universe for some people, but if somehow someone in the world sees Creature Commandos as the way I saw the first Guardians film when I was 8 years old, then that's gotta mean something, right? Alright, that's the end of this video. I hope you like it. Tell me what you think. Some genuine criticism that I'm sure will not be demeaning at all. Leave a like, comment what you think, subscribe if you want to, and I'll probably see you in 7 minutes.